welcome to another edition of A Little Perspective. This month is Entrepreneurs Month, so we are bringing you different business owners to talk about their experiences and maybe give you just a little bit of advice if you're interested in joining the entrepreneurial world. Today I have Stephen Hatch. He and his family own Hatch Chocolatiers.
Hatch Family Chocolates.
Hatch Family
Yeah.
Chocolates. Sorry. And I'm super excited to have him on. The chocolate world is, of course, something that everybody loves to imagine, the thought of having all that chocolate at your fingertips. So thank you so much, Stephen, for being here with us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh my gosh, I suck at introducing myself. But yeah, I'm Steve Hatch. I own a chocolate shop in Salt Lake City. It's actually we've been in business almost 18 years now. So it's been around for a little bit, but it really started as a hobby. So it started, my grandmother dipped chocolates all of her life. And when I remember as a child, she would come over to our house and we would dip chocolates and give them to friends and the family. And we didn't have a ton of money. So it was just a way to give gifts easy. And that's what I remember growing up. And my dad kind of ran with that. So as he retired, he turned his basement into a big kitchen, and he started dipping chocolates, and he would sell them at boutiques, but it was just kind of a hobby. Meanwhile, I went to college. I was trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. And I met a little person named Katie, Katie Masterson. Her family, they actually run restaurants in Chicago. And Katie at the time went to pastry school. So her and I were trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And nobody in my family really wanted to keep doing the chocolates. But Kate and I, we got really excited. And we took some business classes and we decided to open up a chocolate shop. So we took this hobby, and we're crazy. We found an old building that we turned into a chocolate shop. And yeah, we opened April 9th or 19th. It's been 18 years. So that's kind of a little bit about me.
That's so awesome. So what does you keep saying dipping chocolates? What does that mean?
Like, we hand dip chocolates, literally. So each piece of chocolate is covered by hand, and we we do the little designs on top of the chocolates. And I say we pretty liberally because honestly, I suck at it, Angela. So don't tell anybody that I'm no good at dipping chocolates. But yeah, our staff, they're amazing. So we make all of the centers. And then we dip every piece by hand, and we put the little designs on them. When you look at them, they all look kind of uniformed, but individually, you could see little imperfections or little flaws. Just they're all handmade, and so that's how we do it. The technique that my grandma taught us. So
I
yeah,
got you.
way back when.
That's awesome. So is your grandma still with us? Was she able to see you open the business?
No, I mean, she passed away a long time ago. And I like the fact that she was pretty humble and pretty modest, but she always struggled with self-esteem, and she always struggled with trying to fit in and, just to make ends meet. I- she never even made it past eighth grade in school. And she was just always kind of a workforce. Like, she would just go and do whatever needed to be done. So I feel that she'd probably be freaking out that somebody took some of her ideas and turned it into a shop. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure the thought never even occurred to her. And so to see what you guys have turned it into, that's incredible. What a legacy for her to unknowingly leave behind. That's awesome.
absolutely. And I mean, it wasn't like it happened all at once. It kind of happened. It was a long process that evolved into a chocolate shop. And some of those parts, may never even happen. I maybe would never have met Katie. Katie would maybe have never have had food in her background and an interest in doing pastries. Um, Without her, I wouldn't have opened up the shop. And I I give her just as much credit as me for opening the shop. And she kind of took a chance as well to move to Utah and to, open up in a strange city, just a pretty cool chocolate shop. So I think
Mhm.
my grandma would be pleased, but I think she'd also think I'm totally crazy. So that's all right. I'm okay with that. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure just because that's it's pretty risky, like that's a big leap to make. So,
you
you
have no idea. Like, I mean, I remember like never really knowing what the hell I wanted to do with my life all growing up. And at one time I think I wanted to be an attorney. I studied politics. I actually ran for a city council. So I had all these other ideas in my back, like in the back of my mind. And you know, I think the universe has a way of putting you gently where you need to be, and sometimes it's not so gently. But yeah, Katie and I, yeah, we met and we found this building, and the building that we found, it was an old laundromat, and just in the middle of downtown Salt Lake, in the middle of a neighborhood, and this old laundromat had somebody that had owned it had started to still out all of the dryers and the washers and everything, and they were trying to take them out, just to get money off of it, and they left the gas line on, and it blew up the building. So this building that we saw, it was a piece of shit. Like, it was literally just this building that had charm, and literally like holes in the walls where the firemen had like come in trying to vent this building. And I just remember me and Katie saw this building, and we were just kind of laughed, and we were like, there is no way in hell that we could put a chocolate shop there. And then, I mean, miraculously, somebody bought the building, somebody redid it and started to put in a space, and we ended up, meeting up with them and opening up a shop. And
Oh
it was
wow.
crazy because nobody had an idea that we should go there. They just all thought we were nuts. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just remember opening up and just having this warm fuzzy feeling that, yeah, this is where we need to be. And I
Mhm.
still even remember our first day of business. We didn't think we were ready. And my dad just kept saying, why don't we just turn on the open side? And Kate and I were just like, no, we have so much to do. And we, I don't know who turned on the open sign, but one of us turned on the open sign. And I think we sat there all day long from like 10 in the morning until about 2 in the afternoon before somebody came in. And the first customer was this kid, and it was like a little 5-year-old kid that could barely open up the door. And so I just remember he had a little backpack on him, and we got really excited that we had a customer, and we thought, wow, he's gonna want ice cream, he's gonna want chocolates, what is this kid gonna want? And he ended up wanting just a Coca-Cola. And so we were like just all pumped for pushing our products, and the kid got a Coke. So that was our first customer. And I remember that day we ended with $180. And I was like, holy shit, we got $180. And when you think about it, that is nothing. I mean, for about 12 hours worth of work, we made 180 freaking dollars. And so that's what we did. But I just remember being so happy that day. Like, yeah, this, without us being here, we wouldn't have even have made that money. And that was the start of our business, $180. Yeah.
I mean, that is a good start. Of course, in hindsight, you're like, that's nothing. But for your first day of making this huge jump on this, risk of a business that you have no idea, and then your first customer doesn't come for hours, and then they don't even give a damn about your chocolate.
Yeah, they could care less. And I don't even know if the kid's probably like in his 20s now. So yeah, yeah, I hope he's still coming to our shop though.
I was gonna
I
say he's
mean,
probably been back to your shop and actually bought chocolate.
yeah, maybe at this point, but yeah, I totally remember that's how we started. And yeah, it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't like this ideal. It was just kind of a quiet opening, and it wasn't like this big grand party to open. We just quietly turned on the sign and unlocked the door, and that's how we opened up our business.
That's amazing. I love that so much. It's 18 years ago. While I mean, in some senses, it's not
Yeah.
that long ago, but in some senses, it's it's a really long time ago, especially from the marketing sense. And so, you know, how you would do that today is completely different possibly than how you did it then, just because there's so many other options for how you would prepare for a grand opening. So it's really neat to look back on like that.
Well, and that's like even just the tip of the iceberg for what we've gone through. I mean, we ended up staying in that location about 8 years.
Mhm.
Kate and I were, we were making it, but we weren't like rolling in money or anything. And we ended up finding a different building up the street that was bigger. Um, and it was an old ran down grocery store. And we'd also been approached by TLC. So TLC actually did a show on Kate and I. And at first we didn't want to do it because we were sick of the little people shows ourselves. But we ended up doing it because we wanted to show other little people that they could do whatever the hell they wanted.
Mhm.
And so we did. We did a show, and it lasted for a season, but it gave us a lot of publicity, and it gave us a lot of like local recognition locally. And I just remember at that time we went to the bank and we approached them about this building up the street, and they said, "Oh, totally, we'll totally help you out." And we ended up taking out a loan for even a bigger piece of shit building. It was like way ran down, but it had really good potential. It was a really cool building, and we ended up taking out a huge loan. And I just remember Kate just thought I was crazy, and she just thought I was nuts. But I just kept thinking, "Oh, it'll all work out. It's all gonna work out." And I remember we went from 3,000 a month rent payments to 12 grand a month payments. So I mean, so it's like eye shocking, and that's how long can you make that last? So we spent all of our money pretty quick while we were waiting for a tenant to come in, but we still kind of knew that this building was a good spot, and it was worth way more than what we bought it for. And I was just getting so discouraged that we had put all this hard work into a new building and we were going to go bankrupt. We were going to lose everything. And we wouldn't have somebody else was going to benefit for what we did. And I just remember like we were 12 hours away from like a foreclosure. We had people coming to us to, you know, try to get the building out at bankruptcy. We
Yeah.
had people coming out of the woodworks wanting to partner with us. Kate and I were even struggling with ourselves, and we ended up divorcing during that time. And we were divorcing, trying to figure out like we wanted different things, and so the business was one of the things. But like I always wanted kids, Kate never did. Blah blah blah. Long story, and we just wanted totally different things, and
Mhm.
so it was a really stressful time. And at this time, Kate's family, her brother went to her and said, "Kate, what do you want to do? You could come back to Chicago. You can any of the restaurants here love you. You can come work here. You can go. Now's the perfect time for you to reanalyze what you want to do." And
Yeah.
she wasn't done with the shop yet either. So her and I actually fought really hard, and her brother helped us to hold on to the building. And yeah, we went from everything you could think of. Everybody wanting to be our friends to nobody wanting to talk with us to everybody distancing themselves from us. And I just remember like a lot of those times, people thought we were totally crazy and we were nuts and that I was totally off my rocker. And I was like one of the only people that believed in myself.
Mhm.
And sometimes it was Kate too. And Kate was the only one that believed in herself. Sometimes neither of us believed in ourselves. And I just think we just kept pushing forward and just kept moving. And I don't think people realize that with business, that sometimes, it's just not giving up. It's not always about like having enough money or having all of that. It's just pushing forward. So we
Do you
did.
think that if so you had you had Kate, and even though it didn't work out in the marital sense, you guys still had each other as partners. You had each other's backs, and sometimes, one was feeling a little more faithful than the other, as happens in most situations. Do you feel like, had she said, okay, I'm going back to Chicago, and you were there to kind of figure out how to move forward with the business, do you feel like you would have been able to continue to move forward, or would you have decided it's something that you're no longer gonna stress over, or what do you think?
No, I would have pushed forward. I just think it's in my nature. But
Yeah.
I also wanted Katie to not feel trapped and to not
Sure.
feel like she had to stay in Utah. But I wanted her to reach her dream or to figure out what she wanted to do. I think one way or another, I would have, stayed in the business with the candy.
Mhm.
We did have quite a big following. Maybe not as much as the loan we took out, but we had a big enough following for our chocolates.
Mhm.
Um, but even without Kate, I wouldn't have started any of that without her. So I kind of give her a ton of credit for, you know, helping me even figure out what I wanted with my life. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I absolutely wouldn't have even have started it without her. It would have been a hobby that probably would have died somewhere with my dad. Um,
Mhm. How long did he stay involved?
he's almost 90, and actually he will still pop in every now and then just to kind of cut chocolates and to help out a little bit. So yeah, I think he gets bored. And so if he stays home for a week or two, all of a sudden he's like, I was thinking we should try doing this. And he doesn't dip like he used to, but he actually is a huge help and he still pops up. What's kind of crazy is I grew up in Utah. Katie grew up in Chicago, was Irish Italian background. Her family ran a pub. My dad, is almost 90. He grew up during the Depression. All three of us had different like mindsets of what to do or what we wanted. And
Mhm.
it's really interesting because I think that we kind of would siphon through all the crappy ideas and come up with some really good ideas. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think they were fun. Some of the ideas, like our salted caramel is one of our most popular chocolates. And my dad freaks out that we even did those. He thinks it's just a disgusting recipe and we're just ruining his mother's caramel recipe. And we just laugh and it's like, well, it's our biggest seller. So do you want us to stop selling the biggest seller? Um, so there's things like that where I just think, yeah, it's been also kind of fun having all the different ideas and the different backgrounds.
Yeah, yeah, I think that helps a lot to be able to have different perspectives. So that's really neat. So
I
last year
am
was.
really lucky too. Sorry, I'm way lucky because Katie, honestly, she is a great business partner, and it and she had a lot of the knowledge, with the food and everything. And so I think that she brought a lot to us. She always had a love for cinema. So when we bought this new building, one of the first things we wanted to do was do outdoor movies. So we mapped out how we could do outdoor movies on the roof of our building and how to set all that up. So man, she's a huge influence. Sorry,
Mhm.
I can't give her enough props.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's incredible. I love the partnership for sure, and I love that it withstood, divorce even, because that's certainly not
I'm sure
common.
we had our moments. But actually, we did. I'm sure we had our moments where neither one of us wanted to talk with each other, and our staff probably just stayed out of both of our ways. But the bottom line is we both care about each other, and we want the other to be happy. And
Yeah,
yeah, we'll always care about each other like that. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So last year was a pandemic and hard for a lot of entrepreneurs, but as you said, you were, hours away from foreclosure and have really faced some tough times in the past. I mean, you've been in business for 18 years, so of course you have. So how did you fare last year? Did you pull from, oh, we've been through hell and high water already, so this is nothing? Did you feel like, oh, this is going to be really hard? How are we going to get through this? What were your thoughts when facing COVID?
it, I mean, it happened so weird. In fact, in Utah, it really happened. Everything kind of went down when the NBA shut down, and it was weird because it was a Utah team that was playing the Oklahoma Thunder that ended up with the COVID, the first team to test positive. And I remember like we were just watching that game, and then just all of a sudden realizing, wait, we're not going to be open on St. Patrick's Day. Like it went really quick from that to the governor and everybody mandating that, all businesses except for essential businesses stay open. And yeah, we just shut, and we didn't know what to expect. I mean, we knew how much money was in our bank account. We knew that we still had bills coming in, but we didn't really know what to do. And I, I I remember a lot of people coming to calling us. And I think it was a lot of what you said, all those scenarios of what we had been through, but also even a lot of the supporters from the community. The bank president called and wanted to make sure that we had enough money. And he, would order chocolates saying, look, I don't need them immediately, but I want to make sure you guys don't go under. So how can I support you? And he is just one person. There was hundreds of people just like that reached out to us, that kind of kept us going. And yeah, we stayed away from the shop for a few weeks. And then I remember it was getting close to Easter, and we kind of opened up just like barely, just to get an Easter business. And I remember at this time our website sucked, like it was crap. And we'd never put any effort really into the website like we should have. And I think that the pandemic, it actually made us do the website, and it made us set all that up. But yeah, I think what I really learned is there's no set pattern that's gonna just always be perfect. And I think with business, you just have to keep rolling and adopting and evolving and changing. And the businesses that don't adopt or don't evolve, they're gone. And I think that that's just the lesson for anything in life, is just constantly evolving, and nothing's permanent. And so, what is that? So as a business, you just kind of dictate what is your permanent, and it may not be there next time. So you just have to keep rolling with what is there. The PPP was a huge help when the government came out and helped businesses. But I think that, a lot of businesses just were really tired by this point and gave up. And I think Kate and I mean, I don't know what I would have done without the shop. Like we had people really depressed and wanting us to open. So we were getting emails and Facebook messages all the time of just people wishing that they could come sneak a chocolate. And so I just remember, yeah, we just slowly opened back up and just added hours. But yeah, it wasn't until really this year where I felt that our numbers were climbing back up to before COVID numbers. So about January and February is when we started to approach kind of okay numbers. But yeah, I think the biggest lesson is just evolving. And when you look at all kinds of businesses, I mean, Xerox, IBM, I mean, none of those businesses are really known now, but they were huge in their day. Kodak would be another one. Blockbuster, any of these businesses, Blockbuster could have been Netflix. I mean, so all of these things, and the businesses just didn't take the opportunity to adapt. And that's a huge lesson that I learned.
So your website's better now is what you're saying.
Yes, but it's not perfect, and it's not done. Like it will always keep evolving. And we'll always try to keep updating pictures and always keep trying to change it. Yeah.
So Easter is yet again around the corner. What is an Easter favorite?
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on the person. We have so many different things. Like Angela, our hot chocolate is amazing. Like it's incredible, and it's like one of the best hot chocolates in the world. We make most of our own ice cream in-house, so that's awesome. We make matzah or like caramel and chocolate covered matzah for Passover. not really kosher, but it's good. So I mean, but it's we do yeah, we do all kinds of stuff, and then we do the traditional Easter eggs that will have different fillings, and then we can personalize those. But yeah, that's what Easter. It to me, it's just a holiday and good chocolate eating. But honestly, it really depends on the customer. Some
Sure.
people don't even know we have like chocolate. They come into our shop and just see the ice cream, and it really depends on the person. They
Yeah.
actually last night we had a person playing live music in our shop, and it's
Oh,
funny because we used to do that all the time before COVID, and once COVID happened, you know they didn't have anywhere to perform, and so most of these musicians were just struggling also. So we had
mm,
a guy, Garan Sturbach is his name, and I remember approaching him back in the summer last year, and he would play in the patio when it was warm enough, and then as it got colder, he's playing inside. But it kind of sucks because we won't let more than 8 customers at a time come into our shop, and you can't sit in here. So you can stand there for a second, and then you gotta leave. But you can listen to Garan for a second, and for us, it's kind of like our own private concerts every
yeah.
Saturday. But as the weather changes, he'll move outside, and then
Mhm.
you know we're we're hoping that all of our employees and everybody will have the opportunity to be vaccinated, and so we'll open back up probably the middle or end of May to letting people sit back and shop. So until
That's
then, they can order online. We'll even run it out to their car, and they
mhm.
can sit outside. So it's not snowing anymore, so they're okay. But that was crazy too because we didn't know what to expect in the winter, and a lot of places would set up those little tents, and we were wondering if we needed heaters. The little propane heaters only last for 10 hours. That's like
Mhm,
one day, and so we didn't want to buy propane tanks all the time.
mhm,
We were going to put in a fire pit, and literally our customers are so amazing that we didn't have to do any of that. They
mhm.
just were really supportive of waiting in line, and they would wait in line as long as it took to get their hot chocolates, even in freezing temperatures. So yeah, we were really lucky this winter. We kind of laughed because we have no clue what to expect this summer.
Yeah,
Will people be traveling again? Will we be busy? Will people be more staying at home?
yeah.
Um, we have no clue, but I think that we'll just keep evolving with whatever and just go with it.
So would that be your biggest piece of advice then? You've been in business for 18 years. You've learned a lot through trial and error and through maybe advice that you've been given. Would keep evolving be the piece of advice that you would give to someone looking to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, and trust yourself. I mean, we had everybody telling us to go bankrupt. That would have been the easier route, just to give up and to quit. And I think trusting yourself is probably as big as that. So just if you have this passion or this dream, just to trust that and to go with it. And sometimes it doesn't make sense, but you just have to go forward. I mean, it's you with coaching. I don't know what drives you to do that, but I assume it's more than just wanting to make coin. It's something that you enjoy, and I think that Steve Jobs actually talked about this a lot. He talked about looking back at all of his steps to get him to where he was at the end. They all connected themselves, and I think that when we look back, it's really easy to see all of the steps that we took to get to where we are presently. And for
Mhm.
me, the hobby with the chocolates turning into an actual chocolate shop. I mean, I wouldn't have dreamed that to begin with, but looking back, it makes perfect sense. And so I think that just, recognizing that things happen for reasons and just try to learn the lessons from them.
Yeah, I love stories of serendipity, of things just lining up and being able to look back. I can easily see how my job at Walmart led to my job selling advertising, led to my job at Habitat, led to me stepping out and doing this on my own. And there's details in between that explain how that happened. But truly, I don't see how I would be here right now as an entrepreneur, as a full-time life and wellness coach, without having worked at Walmart 20 years ago. So it's really it's wild, and I love stories of serendipity and things that are meant to be, and just persevering and pushing through.
And it's made me realize that everybody has value too.
Mm,
There isn't a job out there that isn't valued or valuable. And it's kind of put me in perspective of that. That just knowing that there's roles for everyone, and nobody is better than anybody else, and that
mm.
we're all kind of on this crazy rock flying through space. So I think, yeah, I really am impressed with that.
Yeah, yeah. That's such a good point. I love that you said that. I think it's easy for the ego to get a hold of you, and but truly, we are all human, and we all contribute without, you know. I mean, the pandemic showed us who the essential workers were, and it wasn't the all the high and mighty rich people. It was, the workers, and so it just shows that essential workers are just as valuable as anyone else, and to kind of step back and keep your ego in check can go a long way.
And honestly, I have the best job in the world. I totally have the greatest job. I get to eat chocolate, I get to eat ice cream. But honestly, what Kate and I sell is that warm, fuzzy feeling that you get when you're like in a good mood eating a nostalgic dessert. That's
Mhm.
what Kate and I are selling. We're selling that, it's families that just coming in, it's people on their first date, people on their last date, it's people coming with somebody that's dying. It's all of that, but it's that they're all seeking that escape from all the shit that's going on in the world. And I think that Kate and I provide them a place to have like a retreat from that, and just a place that they don't have to worry about anything else that's going on. It doesn't matter who the president is or not. um,
Mhm.
they're eating a freaking cone of ice cream, or they're drinking a hot chocolate,
Mhm.
and nothing else really matters at that moment. And I think that's what Kate and I sell, and that's why we're so popular. Is it's pretty easy to do okay when you're selling good moods.
Good moods and memories. That's amazing.
Like, knock
That's
on wood.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so how can people order from you or reach out to you or connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, on Facebook, Stephen Hatch, or Hatch Family Chocolates, hatchfamilychocolates.com. But honestly, I'm an open book, so you can always reach out and ask whatever questions. Steve at hatchfamilychocolates.com is my email. I know I still use it. But yeah, honestly, they can reach out however they want.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. This was wonderful. Um,
No, thanks for having me.
I appreciate all that you do, and I look
You're going
forward.
to edit this and make it look good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Stephen. I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you, Levies. Reach out to Stephen and check out his shop, and make more happy memories.
Woot
Love
woot.
y'all. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Angela.